Good afternoon. It is Sunday, May 15th, 2022, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Slam Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Uh-oh. Just late to get there.
It's that, that's weird. That's interesting. Delayed reaction. I don't know.
I think that the other one's not fully done. The intro music's not fully done, so then the next one can't start yet.
Maybe. It's supposed to, though. They're supposed to be able to play at the same time. But anyway.
But what's a show without technical difficulties?
I mean, we're going to have one every show.
At least.
At least. We are streaming on YouTube. We're not. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. What did I say? Did I say I was going to fix that?
You said, so you've been saying we're live streaming on YouTube.
Now it's
but
just
we're not
streaming.
live streaming. Now you just said streaming, which we would be when somebody plays it. Yeah, you're streaming it.
Okay, so there you go. It's technically correct. We're streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. Please check out our webpage. You can find links to the past shows, the current trivia question on www.lambsports.com. A long shot wins the run for the Roses. 2 Game 7s in the NBA today and 2 in the NHL as the playoffs heating up in both. The PGA Tour has denied players the opportunity to play in the inaugural LIV Tour event. And Formula One was in Miami. WNBA has started. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And we didn't even talk about the no-hitter from today with the Reds and the Pirates, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Anyway, so all of that and more on today's episode, just FYI. First of all, first segment of the show is always brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination. If you haven't checked them out, go to therangellc.com and you'll find all of the training, membership, and VIP information and opportunities. Check out their calendar under the Events tab. You can find the complete schedule of classes and activities for the month. You can enroll for most of the events and training online with a few simple clicks. They're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. Let's talk about the Kentucky Derby, which happened last week in the 148th Kentucky Derby. The 80-1 long shot, Rich Strike, stole the show, coming from way back in the pack as they rounded the final turn to stun the favorites, Epicenter and Zandon, and win by 3/4 of a length. It was the second largest upset in Derby history. A $2 bet to win would have won you $163.60, which is pretty good. Only Donna Rail in 1913 had a higher payout, and his was $184.90. So he was a 91-1 long shot. Rich Strike wasn't even in the Derby lineup until last Friday, when Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lucas had to scratch Ethereal Road from the race. So here's my question. Did you watch it? Because I didn't.
No.
Okay.
Does anybody watch it?
Yes, these people with large hats, and that's what I was going to talk about.
Does anybody who's not there watch it?
Oh, who's not there? Yeah, I think some people do. I think it is a watched event. I mean, you only have 3 large horse races, 4. I guess there's a Breeders' Cup. But anyway, there's 3 or 4 large horse races a year, right?
Right.
And those are the only ones. The problem is the broadcast is on all day because they want to show you all of the races that are associated with it. So it takes like 6 hours, and the last one is the one you want to watch. But I don't know. It's one of those events that I would love to go to one day, but I feel like I have to overdress and go to Louisville, Kentucky, and you know what I mean, and be in the heat probably, overdressed, outdoor. It's muggy, you know.
It just doesn't seem fun.
It doesn't seem like a great thing. The mint julep looks like it's good though. That's the drink at the Kentucky Derby, is the mint julep, by the way. And I don't know about you, but the hats, the ladies' hats, which is like a thing now. I mean, it's always been a thing, but they're those gigantic Derby hats.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I mean, I get it blocks the sun, which is probably nice, but it also weighs 6 pounds, right, on your head.
I guess
it's got to. Some of those things are huge.
Yeah.
I have a picture of a couple of them on here, and I was just like, this is so much headgear. Anyway, all right. I was just curious. I mean, I don't know if it was something that you don't put it on your calendar and watch it.
Huh. Yeah. I what's it called? I always check it out in the regards that I always watch the highlights.
Yeah.
But I have no care about it. It's not. It's a horse race, which is. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
But horse racing's illegal in most places in the U.S. now, anyways.
If it was happening here, like, or let's say where you are, let's say it was happening in Portland.
Yeah.
Would you go watch it? Would you try and go watch it?
Probably not.
If it was a Triple Crown event in Portland.
Probably not.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't know if it. I don't know if it it matters. I mean, it matters to a very specific part of the world.
Yeah.
And it's not. Horse racing's not a global sport. Like it is and it isn't, right? But like it's. This is one of the last.
Right.
We'll call it civilized places that still do it. Like,
right.
But even then, within this country, there's only a tiny few places that do it because it's not considered ethical most places.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just hit or miss with me. I don't really care.
And the United States got rid of most of the racing just in general, greyhound racing.
Yeah, no dogs, no horses. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If it was on and I happened to be watching, I mean, I happened on it at the right time, I would watch it. But I wouldn't go out of my way to schedule it or DVR it or, you know what I mean? Make a party. People have derby parties at their house and watch this stuff. I don't know.
Sure, people who have a long-standing affiliation with horses?
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. They just think it's fun. I think there's people out there who just think it's fun to dress up and drink and watch a horse race. I mean, which is probably true if you did it that way.
I guess the history of the Kentucky Derby race hat began with Colonel Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr.
Whoa.
Said he wanted to ensure a good crowd at his event. And at the time, the racetrack had a reputation as being immoral and dangerous. So he looked to other successful races for inspiration. He loaded a cart full of high society ladies and brought them to the racetrack, saying that they were going to have a picnic at the racetrack. And then the wealthy people kind of followed. Then the big hats were born.
Nothing says class and sophistication like a cart full of ladies.
Like a cart full of ladies. And some... Like watching out for horse piles and a cart full of ladies.
Let me go round up some ladies. That'll make this better.
Also, I've been to horse tracks before. They don't smell good.
No, they don't.
It's not, like the nicest things there are the people. Everything else is dirty and gross.
Right. And then some of the times, like it's raining, and then you get the mud everywhere, and I'm like, it smells like wet horse poop. That's not so good.
Yeah. So I don't care. I don't care about it. It's cool, and this is a neat story, and I can always appreciate. A neat story, but
yeah, right. Okay, so that brings us to the Best Slam Sports Show trivia question, brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Are you ready?
Yep.
It's horse racing related, so get ready.
Why do you do this to me?
Rich Strike just won the Kentucky Derby by 3/4 of a length. That was his margin of victory, 3/4 of a length. And they measure it in lengths. Anyway, what is the largest margin of victory in Kentucky Derby history?
Oh, I know this.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because you just saw it or something, or I mean.
No. In watching like the replays.
Yeah.
Of it and things like that, they talked about. I think they talked about it. Okay. So I know what the measurement is. I don't know who did it.
Okay. So yeah. All right. We'll talk about. We'll reveal the answer at the end of the show. So let's talk about.
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. so that way you know that I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
It's coming across. You can give me
10-4. Sorry. Okay. That and by the way, that's correct.
Oh yes.
Okay. So nicely done.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about something that we do watch. Okay. So the NBA conference semifinals in full swing, and right now, I mean, I don't know what's going on right now. I guess I should look. Huh?
There is a break in the games right now.
Yeah, we're in between. So it starts at 5 Pacific. Dallas at Phoenix, Game 7. We just got done with Boston clubbing Milwaukee 109-81 in Game 7 to advance to play Miami, which is going to be a good series.
It might be.
I think it will be. I think it depends on how good Jimmy Butler is.
The problem is that Miami's missing Kyle Lowry, I think.
Yeah, he's out.
Is he going to be out for their whole series?
I don't know if he's going to be gone for the whole time, but I know that he is. Let's go look.
It says he's unlikely to play Game 1, but the rest of his status is up in the air. So he could play
Yeah.
He could play more. So if they get him back, it's important. But even without him, they're still a really good defensive team.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Miami's that's a good basketball team, and you can say what you want. They had the best record in the East. They're the number one seed. They deserve to be there. The Celtics are maybe more complete. They have more players, but they didn't play as well as they could have down the stretch, and so they're a number two seed. And it took everything they had to beat Milwaukee, and it took the absence of Chris Middleton.
It took everything they had and the absence of the second best player on the other team.
Right. Correct. And but to be honest, I mean they won today by 28. That was a joke.
Well, that was a theme for this series was that the games that Boston won, they won huge.
Yeah.
And so it's not. I mean, not all of them, but for the majority part, they did that. So I think that that Chris Middleton loss is just too big. It was too big to overcome. They were never going to finish.
It's too big. The same thing happened in the West. So Golden State over Memphis 4-2, and that was Ja Morant. Ja Morant goes down, and Memphis has no hope. Let's be honest.
Well, the next game they won by 50. They put 50 on them.
And I think they did. I think Golden State did that on purpose. They go win at home.
I think they did too.
Yep.
Because they came back and they didn't run them out of the gym in Game 7, but they handled them.
It wasn't really that close.
Yeah, it seemed close at moments, but I think that down the stretch it was an 8 or 9 point game.
Yeah. So I think that was Golden State's strategy was, hey, let's take a night off. And
all relax a little bit.
We'll come back and play at home and be fired up and win at home, and so
all right. It was game 6 that they won at home. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other two series, like we said, Phoenix and Dallas starts at 5:00. It's on TNT today. Dallas had a 113-86 win in the last game to force Game 7.
All right.
Those games have all been home victories in that series. Every home team's won every game.
Yeah.
And then so the Boston Milwaukee series. Who do you have tonight? Phoenix or Dallas?
I have Phoenix.
Okay. Big or
the home series is important. No, not big. Maybe 8 to 10 points.
And who's the hero for Phoenix if they win?
Chris Paul.
Okay.
Because every night Devin Booker goes out there and does his thing, and most nights DeAndre Ayton goes out there. The only changing thing is whether Chris Paul has big nights or not. He's had a ton of turnovers the last few games.
Gotcha. And if you're picking Dallas, then you have to say that it's going to be Luka, right? Because he's the
so you want to say Luka, but he's consistent, right?
He sure is.
But it's got to be the next guy, whoever that is, whether it be a Bullock or whether it be Brunson or one of these other randos that step up. It's definitely they're the hero, because without that person, this team is not going to do it.
Randos, yeah. I like that. I like that. I mean I don't know. Max Kleber. If he goes off for a big night, maybe
he's a 3-point shooter. It's a little specialist out there. He could do something.
I guess that's. But I mean, other than your triple double, which is Luka Doncic, you don't have a ton of stuff. I mean, there's some decent players, but he's the guy. He has to have 35 to 40 for them to be in that game against Phoenix, I think.
Right.
So anyway, I would pick Phoenix too. So.
Yeah, I think it's the logical choice.
Yeah, I think it's probably smart. Let's talk about the NHL real quick, because the NHL series, there's 2 Game 7s today also, which are starting here in a little bit. And the Penguins and Rangers are in Game 7. They're tied at 3. They just dropped the puck. They're a minute 20 into that game, and it's no score yet in Game 7 in New York. But Carolina wrapped it up and beat Boston 4-3. That was yesterday. Tampa Bay with a win over Toronto, 4-3 with an overtime. With a 2-1 win. That was also yesterday. Florida, the Panthers beat the Washington Capitals 4-2. That was a couple nights ago when they wrapped it up. St. Louis beat Minnesota 4-2. Also, Edmonton yesterday wins over the LA Kings to advance 4-3. Colorado swept Nashville. That was a snoozer. And then Calgary Dallas is tonight at 6:30 p.m. if you want to watch more playoff hockey. Game 7 tonight. That has been a pretty good series, low scoring, a lot of defense as opposed to the other games. But that playoff hockey's fun, and the next round will be even better. So Game 7s are fun to watch. Just watch them. There'll be a lot of hitting, a lot of chippiness, and people getting fights and that kind of thing, and it makes it more fun to watch. Sidney Crosby is a game time decision, by the way, and I don't know if he's playing. Let me look. I don't know if he started for the Penguins or not. Of course, now it's not going to do what I want it to, because why would we?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, awesome. Yeah. So it looks like he was not a starter in the game. So Yari, the goaltender, was also a game time decision. So, but he is starting. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Penguins are in it. I don't know if they're going to get Sidney Crosby or not, but sure would be nice. Oh wait, that's on the ice. Sidney Crosby is playing. He has played a minute 50.
Ah.
There you go.
Short lineups.
Yeah, I had a different. Yeah, it's funny to watch hockey. These guys play a little bit. You know what I mean?
And then they go to the bench.
The game is 60 minutes long, right? And a guy like Crosby plays a third of that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, because I know they have 3 lines, and there's a second line, a third line, and there's penalty killing line, and a power play line. I get all that, but it seems like you could play long. It's like I was saying about the NBA guys. There's only 48 minutes in the game. You can't play 48 minutes. This one's 60 minutes, and I know there's a lot more effort involved in hockey than there is in basketball. I mean, it's like basketball on skates,
right,
with a stick. So it's weird to me that they can't. This 20 minutes is like that's normal.
It says that on average, a defenseman will play 20 minutes and 11 seconds per game, and a forward will play 15 minutes and 37 seconds per game.
Yeah, the defensemen play longer. The forwards change out more often.
Yeah, but that's because the forwards change out while the defensemen have the puck.
Correct.
Usually, so. Yep. And then once it gets down ice, maybe somebody will come across and switch out. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, kind of interesting that they only play 15 minutes of a 60-minute thing.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I mean, yeah, okay. Anyway, so hockey, if you're out there watching it, I like watching playoff hockey. So Game 7 on TBS right now in New York. So still 0-0 at the moment. Wait, let's back up. Rangers have scored. There's your update.
Oh, geez. They've already scored?
Rangers have scored. Yep, Rangers have already got a goal. Chris Kreider with a goal at 7:36. Anyway, so there you go. So Rangers already up. All right, so let's. That's the first half of the show, basically.
Wow. Fast.
We got a lot more things, a lot more topics to talk about in the second half. They're going to go by fairly quickly, but we got
backloaded.
It is kind of backloaded. Yeah, I guess that's the right term. I don't know if that's true or not, but let's look. I got the wrong ad up, so I got to get the right ad up. So that's kind of a part. I'm stalling. All right, so second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty, Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Be sure to tune into BossKittyLive.com for knit-alongs, games, fun, and exclusive sales. Go to the BossKittyShop.com website. Get your kitty glitter yarn. If you're looking for a gift, get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Yarn so boss you'll knit your pants. Fast commercials. Sorry.
Well, it works. I like it.
We got to do what we got to do. So we're going to talk about some things in the second half. We got a lot more things to talk about, so let's do that. Start with Major League Soccer. So Portland Timbers tied the New York Red Bulls on the road 1-1 last Saturday. And that was Yaroslav Niezgoda scored in the 53rd minute that ended a 335-minute scoreless drought for Portland. That's a long time.
It's a few games.
Yeah. The Timbers gave up the equalizer to New York's Aaron Long just 14 minutes later, and it ended 1-1. This
soccer.
I know. Yesterday, Portland beat Sporting Kansas City at home 7-2, and I can't put that into perspective as much as I'd like to, in that Portland had scored like 12 goals all year in the first 11 games.
Well, now they scored 19,
and they scored 7 in this game.
Yeah.
Sebastian Blanco scored 2 for Portland, and his first 2 of the season. So they win 7-2. Portland's now 3 wins, 6 ties, and 3 losses with a goal differential of 0 for the season. So you might as well not have
weird stat line.
You might well have not have played. You're literally at 0. We have the same number of wins and losses. Everything else was a tie. No goal differential. You haven't outscored anybody. They haven't outscored you. Might as well have not played at this point. You're 12 games in. You haven't done anything.
Yeah.
That being said, they're tied for 6th in the West.
Sounds right.
Yeah, soccer. Anyway, so their next game, I didn't even look to see what their next game is. San Jose, by the way, it's Wednesday. Portland plays at San Jose Earthquakes on Wednesday. 7:30 p.m. I think it's on ESPN Plus. You can't get it on any regular channel during the week, but on the weekends, occasionally you'll see it on Fox or anyway. But
yeah.
All right, that's our MLS update for you. I know everyone's pretty thrilled about soccer because Portland fans and Soccer City and blah blah blah. Let's talk about F1.
F1.
Max Verstappen passed Charles Leclerc on lap 9, never trailed again, in taking the first ever Miami Grand Prix last Sunday. Leclerc still leads the driver's standings, 104 points, but his lead is now down to 19 points after Verstappen won the race and got the extra point for the fastest lap. Carlos Sainz finished a distant third, and when I say distant, it was let me look. He was 8.2 seconds back, which is significant. That's a significant amount of time. Leclerc was 3.5 seconds back for that matter. So, but it was an interesting race in Miami. I haven't been enthralled, I guess is the term. Let's call it that, with the races yet this year. I haven't gotten into them because nothing happens and then until like at one point, and then somebody does something, they spin out or their car cuts out or on the last lap or whatever, and that provides a little intrigue. But we haven't had nearly the collisions or stoppages like we were expecting, because we thought that the teams were going to be bunched up more because of the new cars, but that hasn't happened. So have you gotten...
So what gives?
I don't know, right? Yes. Have you gotten into it? Do you feel like you're invested in the F1 season yet?
Yeah, I feel like I am. It's just not... The races have been a little... I want to say more boring, because boring is not the right word. They were not more boring, but they were... Because like, at Imola, Leclerc spun out late. Yeah. Like there was some excitement there. You've had a couple wrecks every race. Lando wrecked in Miami.
Yeah.
So there's been little things, but there definitely isn't the. And you can tell in Formula One that there's not the driven narrative this year. It's not big and overt and in your face, and they're pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's not like they're kind of selling Leclerc Verstappen, but they're also kind of underselling it a little bit, I think, this year. Like last year, they sold Hamilton Verstappen. Like they sold it to you. They sold Horner versus Toto, Mercedes versus Red Bull, Verstappen versus Hamilton, the epic duel. And this year, they're like, you got two pretty good drivers out here.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
It's kind of sad.
It doesn't have the protagonist antagonist feel to it. You know what I mean? It's like if either one of these guys wins, you're like, oh, okay, and
like, that makes sense. They did well.
But there's no words back and forth, and you're not seeing Christian Horner and Mattia Binotto. You're not seeing those two guys go at it because they don't. And Toto Wolff's an afterthought at this point, even though and so I'm missing the rivalry, I guess, is what I'm saying.
They definitely, I've noticed that, like Mercedes having struggles, I kind of thought they would like try and talk more to Toto to figure out what's going on. I think that he's like specifically staying out of it. Like, because they talked to Horner a lot last race, but they hadn't in the previous couple.
Yeah.
And they've talked to the Mercedes, or not the Mercedes, the McLaren owner, or the McLaren team principal was named Zach Brown, or Zach Brown, something like that.
For McLaren, yeah.
Yeah, they talked to him a couple times, but they have not talked to Toto Wolff at all. And I'm like, I think he's like doesn't want any part of it. I think maybe he went the way of Verstappen and said, keep me out of it.
Yeah, it was interesting, and other than what Zhou Guan Yu was out early.
Yeah.
And then Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly tangled. Right? Isn't it Gasly that hit Norris? Yeah.
Well, allegedly.
I mean,
allegedly.
Kind of. And then
there were 5 did not finishes in this race.
Because Vettel and Magnussen had a run it.
Vettel and Magnussen had their run in. So that's quite a few. That's a giant chunk of the field didn't.
But I will say this: I did not see Nicholas Latifi crash, which is weird. So I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's suspicious, isn't it?
If he didn't crash into anything, this race was boring, probably.
Yeah, both Canadians finished. That's not a normal thing.
That's weird.
Either Stroll or Latifi crashes, or both.
Mercedes has one of its best finishes of the year. George Russell finished 5th, and Lewis Hamilton finished 6th.
Yeah.
So that was good for them. If you look at the Constructors Series standings, it's solidified Mercedes as the number 3. But it's Ferrari, 6 points lead over Red Bull.
Yeah.
In terms of the Constructors
and those two are miles ahead of anybody else.
Yeah.
There's a big drop off between Red Bull and Mercedes, and then there's a big drop off between Mercedes and McLaren.
Yeah. And it's funny because every team has points, at least at this point. So that's good. But
but that's cool.
but 3 points after however many races is not going to cut it. Anyway, so makes you wonder what they do. Teams like Williams, who I know last year didn't put, like Haas is the same way, didn't put a whole lot of money into their vehicles, knowing there was going to be a new vehicle and changing, and all the rules are going to change, and they didn't spend a lot of money, and they're still not doing well.
Is that not some kind of tampering? Are you not throwing races essentially?
When you could have tried to compete more.
When you could have tried to compete more, but you chose not to save money and use it for R&D for next year. Like, is that not, is like, are you essentially like, why even race? Like you're just a car on the track that's going to get in the way of the top five.
I think they had to compete. They have to race in order to race this year. If you decided you weren't going to race, then you wouldn't be allowed to race. You'd have to do. I mean, I don't know what the rule is, but I'm just saying. I think that's interesting. That's what would have had to happen. You have to be racing continually to continue to keep your spot, your team spot. Otherwise, they're just going to take you off, find another team. Which
that makes sense.
Which makes me wonder, what are they going to do with the new teams when they're talking about adding Audi and Porsche? Are they going to make more teams? Or are they just going to get rid of some teams? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think they're going to make more. I think 20 is the perfect size for the field. So I think they should just take over a team. I think that Williams could go into a partnership with one of them.
Oh, could be.
Maybe even Haas could go into a partnership with one of them. But I think that's what should happen.
I think you could. I think that could be a thing.
I would not be surprised to see a Red Bull Porsche.
Well, that'd be kind of
cool. Like kind of grouping, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is Spain. That's this coming weekend. That's this Sunday. Next Sunday, a week from today, is Spain. That's the next race. So Spain's an interesting track too. I don't know that you're going to see a whole lot or learn a whole lot more from that, I guess.
It's got big sweeping curves.
But what you're really looking for after Spain, right?
Yeah.
Is what?
What's after Spain? I don't know.
I think it's
Monaco.
I think it's Monaco.
Oh, well.
No, it's Monaco. So
that's the one I'm not looking for.
Well, Monaco qualifying is what you want to watch. The race will be boring. If the leader, if the person who's got the pole gets off to a good start, they win. As long as they don't crash.
Right.
That's the end of that. But qualifying is what you want to watch because there's lots of cars on the track. It's narrow. It's a road course. They get in the way. People crash. People do weird things. I mean, even Leclerc last year crashed on the last. He red flagged the last Q3.
That's right.
Yeah. And couldn't race because they couldn't fix his car. So you want to watch the qualifying of Monaco, not necessarily the race. But anyway.
But I'll watch them both.
So there's I mean, we're gonna watch it all anyway because that's just what we do. But we're gonna be going to Azerbaijan here pretty soon too. So that's coming up.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so Formula One, Spain next Sunday. All right, USFL update because everyone needs a USFL update, and I'm getting really terrible about making sure that there you go. There's the Lando Norris Pierre Gasly crash.
Oh,
right. Everybody needs a picture of that. And then
poor Lando.
And let's talk about that helmet for just a minute.
I hated it.
Did you?
So terrible.
Why?
Because it looked awful in the car, and it wasn't the same orange as the rest of the car. It looked
basketball.
Terrible. It just looked terrible.
Oh, you look terrible.
It was the dumbest thing.
How
that
about
one's good?
Danny Ricciardo's was pretty good too, though.
Daniel Ricciardo's is fun.
Yeah,
and he's funny. So
that has got to be the best team to work for. You know what I mean? The drivers have a good time, and they're not doing well, but they
well,
they can't. Apparently, they can't drive, but they're funny and they have a good time. Looks like so.
I guess the question is: would you rather have drivers who are miserable but winning, or happy but losing?
That's a work environment question.
Because I'm gonna guess that Max Verstappen isn't a lot of fun to work for, but I'm gonna guess that Lewis Hamilton isn't a lot of fun to work for. Maybe civil but not fun. But Daniel Ricciardo probably is, or Sebastian Vettel probably is.
Yeah.
But they're also not placing near the top of the grid, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what to do with how to process. I don't know. I don't know what I would want. I want it to be fun. I would like to have fun, but we want to win. Want to be competitive. So if we're not being competitive at all, that takes a lot of the fun away. I guess you have to be have more fun doing other things. So
yeah, there's no point if you're not winning. I think.
Yeah. I think you have to. All right, let's talk about the USFL. We're going to give our USFL update, by the way. The Birmingham Stallions remained unbeaten with a 30-17 win over the Philadelphia Stars today. So there's they're the best team. They're playing at home.
They're all
still
playing
say that. Everyone's playing. And the New Jersey Generals moved to 4-1 with a 27-17 win over the New Orleans Breakers. They are the North Division leaders. So it's looking a lot like a Generals Stallions. What do they call it? What is the USFL Bowl called? What's the championship? They have a name for it?
I have never heard of it.
Okay. I'm on the official website for the USFL, which, by the way, is USFL2, or it was anyway, .com.
I think it's just called the USFL Championship.
It might be.
I don't think it has a name like the Super Bowl. They might call it the Big Game.
The big game.
To avoid getting sued.
I don't think that's probably the name, but all right. And so I question. There's only those are the only two really good teams. Looks like. I mean, the Philadelphia Stars are 2-3. The Breakers are 3-2. The Bandits are 3-2. Okay, but it doesn't look like they're even competitive with the Stallions and the Generals. So it looks to me like that's going to be the thing. The Generals have the best defense. Well, the Michigan Panthers, through 5 games, have only given up 80 points.
Yeah.
Which is 16 points a game. That's really good, by the way, as a defense for a football team. Problem is they've only scored 87 points. So, again, that's really hard to win games like that. But there hasn't been a whole lot of scoring in this league in general, which makes it uninteresting to watch.
Yeah,
because
scoring is exciting.
There's no stars, and if there's not going to be any superstars you can hang your hat on, then you got to at least have something that makes the game exciting, and that would be offense, because that's what people really, really want to see. I'll be honest with you. If you watch a 3-0 game that one team sets a football record for not giving up a single yard of offense or whatever, I'm still going to be bored out of my mind.
It's cool, but it's also boring.
I'm not watching that. But if you show me a 52-51 double overtime shootout of some kind, I'm on board. You know what I mean? I don't care how bad the defenses are. It is fun to watch them go back and forth. So
I agree.
That's what we're rooting for. But it doesn't seem to be any of that going on in this league, is all I was trying to say. It just looks like there's nothing. I mean, there's really no, I don't know. It's not a whole lot of fan. Seats are only $10. You can go get a seat for $10 if you're in Birmingham.
I would say if you're in Birmingham.
You have to be in Birmingham.
A lot of money in Birmingham.
Would you pay $10 to go watch the USFL games if they were in Portland? Yeah. I'd go as many times as I could.
I don't know that I'd go as many times as I could, but I'd go at least once.
Yeah.
I'd go see what it's all about.
I'd at least want to watch every team one time. But anyway.
Well, you can do that. You can just buy a day pass.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, Portland used to have a USFL team. They used to have that Breakers team. So
that used to be Portland?
Yeah, well, the Breakers started out as the Boston Breakers.
Boston Breakers.
And then they became the New Orleans Breakers.
The New Orleans Breakers.
And then they became the Portland Breakers.
That's less fun.
And then the USFL folded, and now they're the New Orleans Breakers again, when the new thing started. So I actually went to a game. I watched the Houston Gamblers, it was the Memphis Showboats. Mm-hmm.
Ah, the Showboats.
Memphis Showboats and the Portland Breakers back in 1986. I think that's right. Anyway, just saying, I've been to a USFL game. It was good. It was better back then than it looks like it is now. Just because there were a lot of big names in the league. So anyway, there's that. There's your USFL update. Nobody's excited about it. Nobody really cares. I know. Let's talk about the WNBA. Former Oregon Duck Sabrina Ionescu had 25 points to lead the New York Liberty past the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA opener for both teams. Since then, the Liberties lost both games. They played the Chicago Sky on Wednesday and got crushed 83-50. And then they lost to the Indiana Fever last night. Oh, no, it's Friday night. 92-86 in overtime. Sabrina had 31 in that one, but New York's 1-2 on the season. So it's out there. The WNBA is out there. You can watch it. It's on TV somewhat. I'm not even sure where they play the games, what channels the games are.
What network it is?
What network it's on.
The other day I saw one on ESPN. So
I think it is ESPN that owns it. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's women's basketball. I mean, you're going to get women's basketball, so don't get too excited about it. But it's just kind of how it is. So yeah, the Yes app, the NESN Plus. This is CBS Sports Network.
CBS, I'm seeing that now.
Yeah.
CBS, NBA TV, CBS Network, Prime.
Amazon Prime. You can watch games. There's a lot of sports networks involved in this, by the way.
Yeah, well, the NFL is doing all their Thursday night games through Amazon.
Yeah, that's weird. And there's some of the games are on ABC, so ESPN does own some of it. So
yeah,
Disney is Disney related, Disney adjacent.
Sounds right.
Anyway, so if you're watching, WNBA's out there, and Washington Mystics, the Las Vegas Aces, the Atlanta Dream, they're all 3-1 right now. They lead the league. So there's that. Is that exciting? Do we care? Is that just going to be our update like the USFL every week?
I wouldn't say that we don't care. It's not. It's the first couple weeks of the season.
Right.
It's not a lot going on.
There's not a lot going on.
There's not a lot to it. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about something that's got some teeth.
Okay.
So the NCAA's Division I Board of Directors published new guidelines this last Monday to clarify that boosters should not have any contact with prospective college athletes, their family members, or their representatives. This comes after the NCAA updated NIL rules last June, by the way, to allow athletes to make money by selling the rights to their name, image, and likeness. The new guidance comes as a response to growing concerns that some boosters and NIL-focused companies are offering money as incentive to attend a particular school.
Right.
And my answer to all that is, duh.
Yeah, they were doing that before.
So why would it have been any different now? But they had to clarify and say, hey, this is not okay. Well,
the problem is that now it was getting overt, right? Before it was behind closed doors, and now it was like, hey, bud, come play for us.
Right.
Like very in your face.
It is. And I think it's still going to be. I don't think the NCAA said they could enforce rules on what they say. They can pursue sanctions against anyone who has egregiously violated these rules in the past 10 months. However, it's likely they're going to focus on future issues.
That makes sense. I don't see why you would go after somebody for something that was legal.
Right. But it wasn't technically legal. It just wasn't clarified.
You didn't make it. I mean, this is the same thing that everyone's riding on with. What's his name? It was always known to be wrong.
Right.
But it was a gray area because you didn't explicitly say.
Right.
It's what's it called? It's the Abu Dhabi thing.
Yeah.
You said any cars. You didn't say all cars. That's different. You gotta specify. No, they specified now. But now it's from this point moving forward in my book.
But the NCAA rules specify that athletes are prohibited from taking money as a recruiting inducement or as a reward for performance. That's always been the case. But the NIL thing apparently threw everyone for a loop.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Because you needed to come out with black and white, clear-cut rules of how you wanted it if you wanted people to even attempt to follow it. Because
the problem is they didn't have time to. Legislation passed like 5 months before the start of the season. And we all know the speed at which the NCAA does anything is not great. So they didn't have time to figure out what they wanted to say and how they wanted to clarify before people started figuring it out. And then by that point they did, the season had already started.
Yeah. Yeah, it
was unfortunate. That's the NCAA being slow as hell. Just call it. Just say stop. Knock it off. Like it's not that hard to punish people.
So how do you feel about? So two things have come out. How do we feel about? We talked about Gene Smith, the Ohio State athletic director, saying that these bigger schools need to be under their own umbrella, and have their own rules and their own guidance.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
In that a school like Ohio State should be under different rules than Middle Tennessee State?
Yes.
Okay.
Really, there's different volumes of money. There's different TV deals. There's different levels of competition. There's different expectations. There's usually more sports. Like it's just different. It's not the same. Not from a student perspective, but just from a pure athletics perspective. Okay. It is an entirely different world. You know, when I worked at PSU, all the guys who would transfer from bigger schools would come there and they'd be like, this is crazy how tiny of an operation this is.
Yeah.
But we're all D1.
Yeah,
we're FCS, you're FBS, but we're all D1. But so like financially speaking, we're all categorized together. And it's not the same though. Those are not the same schools. You know, literally within this state, Portland State and Oregon should not both be D1, or not be competing by the same rules, or competing with the same things. The same governing body that manages Portland State governs Oregon, and that should not necessarily be the case.
Right. Well, but you are talking about, in that particular instance, you're talking about two different divisions, FBS versus FCS.
Divisions within D1, yes, but the divisions are only relative to competitions, not like for financials.
Right. But and then what I was saying was, when I give you an example like Middle Tennessee State, they are FBS.
Right.
So they are in the same division. They play at the same level as Texas. They don't, because they're not in the same kind of conference, and they don't have the same kind of attendance, and they don't have the same. I get it, but they still technically are all under that one umbrella. Portland State,
right,
in the FCS level, which is the next step down
for competition, yes.
Right. So I get them being
but not
different.
for basketball.
Well, right, but and that's the other thing.
It's all part of the whole thing. So like, right. Portland State basketball wise is never going to compete with Oregon or with Duke or with Kentucky or with any of those schools, and yet they still have the same financial restrictions. They still have the same recruiting restrictions. They still have all the same stuff as all of those schools. I think that those schools need different ones. I think that those restrictions and the way that they're set up are perfectly fine for smaller schools, but they have trouble kind of maintaining and containing bigger schools. But the majority of schools are like Portland State and not like Duke and Kentucky.
Right.
They're more towards this side than that side, but that's why they need to be split up. You need to take when a fish gets too big for the pond, you need to move it to a bigger pond.
That's true, but
it's time to get it out of there, because it's no longer acceptable. If you're 7 foot tall, you're not going to continue driving a smart car. You're going to buy a bigger car. You're going to get one that suits you. We can do this analogy all day.
I do like the smart car now.
Although I'm thinking of Shaq getting into the Kias. But that's the point, though, is that they've outgrown the group that's governing them.
Okay. All right.
I'd say more outpaced them than outgrown them.
So that, I mean, so how do you feel about what Deion Sanders said? So Deion Sanders made a comment the other day, and
says causing all sorts of trouble.
It is, and he's not wrong in the things that he said. Is that this is going to become a bigger problem? Right now, you don't have a gigantic problem, but you're going to. And one of those things that he said in there was, how do you police an 18-year-old with $1 million who gets paid more than your staff?
Right.
I mean,
go talk to the NFL, figure out how they do it.
Well, that's true, because they do it. They do it too.
They do it with 19, 20-year-olds with $4 million a year contracts. They don't seem to have any problem. You hear them complaining.
Right.
It's definitely a challenge. Job.
But you can't police NFL players either. You don't do that. They're professionals, and they're a different set of rules, and they're
employees.
They aren't controlled by the coach. Do you know what I mean?
They are employees, and they have expectations to uphold as employees, the same as any other employee. And if you don't, it's fireable.
Right.
So that's the answer. College football players, college basketball players need to be employees. So you're working for the school, and sure, you can make all your money on the side, and maybe they'll pay you a base salary that's equivalent to maybe what the school pays for any service, really. Like, you'll make the same as the guy in the IT department. Your NIL can cover the other $1 million that you need or whatever, but you're an employee, which means now you're subject to disciplinary action by the school for doing things wrong, which means it makes you more manageable. At least.
Does it?
Kind of.
Or you just go into the transfer portal and get away from
it makes you more fireable, is the way to think about that.
You just go in the transfer portal and go away.
Yeah.
To a new team.
That's not the same difference, though. If you're going to fire someone or they transfer, who cares? They just get out of here.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no real penalty for the student. You can say, hey, I don't want you here anymore because you did this, whatever. Okay, I'll just go to another team. Another team will take him in a heartbeat.
Sure, and then he'll get fired from that school probably. The problem is that these exceptions, these guys that you're talking about who would be problem childs and then just bounce around school, they're exceptions to the rule. Your Spencer Rattlers are exceptions to the rule, and it's giving the transfer portal, which has provided a lot of opportunities to a lot of people in very good ways, not just in football, but in all these other sports. It's been very, very, very helpful. These couple people are giving it a really, really bad name by just bouncing around wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
And clearly doing it for football, which was why I think at some point I still believe that you should allow 18-year-olds to go straight to the NFL. I don't think they should have to go to college. I think it's ridiculous that you make them go to college for 3 years or that you make them displace themselves for 3 years. Just go. Get crushed. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You'll get bumped out of the league in a little bit of time, and then in 3 to 4 to 5 years, after a little bit of bloodshed and a little bit of heartache, everyone will be back on board with the college system because, crap, I can't make that leap right now. I'm not skilled enough. And guess what? If you are skilled enough, great. You'll be fine. Elsewise, you burned your chance at college. You burned your chance in the NFL. Have a good life. You should have done it the right way. You shouldn't have bit the hand that fed you in this regard.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they should let them all go. I don't think there should be a mandatory stop at college in basketball or football in any sport. I think you should just be able to go pro right away. Have at it.
Yeah.
The talent will out always.
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose that's true. It would make basketball more interesting, NCAA basketball, in that you wouldn't have those teams, those people that have to come and be one and dones. You wouldn't have those.
Yeah,
they would just go.
It would destroy a couple teams.
Yeah, some of your larger schools that have built themselves on one and dones. Yeah,
Oregon's a one and done school right now. Kentucky's a one and done school. Duke's a one and done school. Like they're all. I mean, and all these schools have a couple players that stay there for 2 years, some that stay there for 4. But for the most part, your big players. Like every year, I would look at the Oregon Ducks poster that they would put out, and there's like 4 guys on it. 3 of those guys are transfers.
Yeah.
And the other one's Will Richardson, who seems to have been there for 10 years.
Yeah, I still think he plays again. I think he plays next year too.
I think he does. How has he been there forever?
I don't know.
He got a COVID year. He's like, I'm using it.
Yeah. I don't know how he's doing it, but yeah, it seems like he's in his 27th year.
But these guys, these 18-year-olds who make the jump to the NFL, they're gonna get signed by a team or get drafted or whatever.
Right. And
then they're not, if they're good enough, strong enough, physically capable enough, they'll be just fine. If they're not, then they're gonna find that out in practice. They're never gonna make it to a game where you're gonna watch some little twig get broken in half. You're gonna find out in practice. It's never gonna see the field.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So I think they'll find out in conditioning, OTAs.
Right. Interesting.
So I think it's not the worst thing to let people make their own mistakes, then offer them, and then let the next generation be offered a bit of a reprieve of how they can fix that. It's like, hey, you watched the last 6 years, 60% of the 18-year-olds went straight to the NFL. Less than 1% of them are playing. But of the guys who go to college and then go to the NFL, 30% of them are playing. This is the smarter option, especially with the ability to access certain NIL things. But I think that's a problem too. If you're going to allow them to go to the NFL, I think NIL needs to go.
So,
I got on that one there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I don't know what the answer is. I know that the NCAA is going to be defunct here before long, so I don't think you're going to have much of a governing body. They're going to have to figure out another way.
It's just going to be a different governing body.
Well, yeah.
Some other group it's going to be a new NCAA.
But that's when you're going to have the breakaways. You're going to have the group that says, oh, well, Alabama and Ohio State and Texas, or when they want to form their own league. Okay. There's going to be nobody to stop them. It's going to be fine, but it's going to be what it is. And you're going to have, I think what you're destined to have is more tiers than you had before in NCAA football. You're going to have more, you're going to have this upper tier. This is division, I don't know, let's call it Division A. And then Division B is those schools like, Arizona. Right?
Right.
And then Division C, Middle Tennessee State. And then Division D. You know what I mean? You're going to have this breakdown because these teams can't compete with each other. And they can't. And because of money, mostly. But yeah. So the ability to raise the money and get the right people and do the right things. So anyway, it's just going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to devolve into much more fractured thing than it is right now. Which is sad because you won't see those same games that you see now. You won't see those interdivision games. You're going to have a few great teams, and then the rest of everybody else is going to be divided into these other lesser divisions. So, we'll see. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before once.
Yeah.
So,
hey, you'll be wrong again one day.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the PGA Tour and the LIV Golf Tour. The Saudi-backed, you have to say, Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour, because that's the big rub right now that everybody's got a problem with. Phil Mickelson announced that he's not going to defend his title at the PGA Championship at Southern Hills next weekend. Last year, he became the oldest major winner at the age of 50 and however many months. which was a big deal, right? I mean,
Right.
I think he had to win because he's got something reported in the neighborhood of $40 million in gambling debts over the last however long.
Allegedly.
He needed some money apparently. But anyway, he won, and kudos, more power to you. So, which is going to bring me to a whole nother question about performance enhancing things in golf. Have we ever talked about that? Is it a rule? I don't even know. But I'm just saying, like in baseball, you can't be taking performance enhancing stuff. These are banned. These are banned substances. Why? If everybody's taking them, doesn't that make it legal and fair?
Right.
So why not just make it legal and fair for everybody? You go ahead and take whatever you want. You still have to hit the golf ball. You still have to put it in the hole and putt. What makes you good at being able to hit a ball 600 yards will not help you putt the ball.
Right.
Because that's a fine motor skill as opposed to a mass, super swing. Anyway, just saying, two different games there. So anyway, but I'm just saying. So we'll talk about that later because Phil was in damn good shape for a 50-year-old playing professional golf. I'm just saying. Last year, anyway, he won. He's not going to compete. He hasn't played since February, early February, when he coincidentally played in the Saudi International tournament, and he made some comments that are supposedly in his book, the autobiography, or I don't know if it's an autobiography. It's not it's a biography of him written by someone else that's coming out, and comments about the Saudi government. Anyway, all this has led to backlash. The PGA Tour doesn't like the idea that they're coming up with this new tour, and they've kind of cast it in a negative light because of the Saudi government being involved. That's where they're getting their money from. A lot of Saudi oil money. But
Saudi oil money.
This tour, if you look at the format, if you go to livegolf.com and go look at the format for the tour, there's going to be 12 teams and 48 players, supposedly. That's what their goal is, right? So you have four players on. You have team golf. You also have individuals playing against each other, but you're also going to have team competition going on at the same time. 48 players, which is much smaller fields than normal. There's no cuts. Nobody's going to get cut from the field. So everyone's going to play the whole thing, but it's only 54 holes, too. It's only 3 rounds. So it's faster. There's only 8 events on the schedule. And then shotgun starts. So everyone starts at the same time, give or take.
Wait, what?
A shotgun start.
How does everyone start at the same time?
So this group of 4 players starts on hole 1. This group of 4 players starts on hole 2.
Gotcha.
That's a shot.
I get it.
Yeah, there's a shotgun start. So that you don't have this drawn out 17-hour coverage of the Masters on Sunday. It happens right now. Everybody's playing right now. We'll all finish at the same time, give or take. Right?
Nice.
So that was the plan of their format. That was the reason. That was what they were going to do differently than the PGA. And anyway, so the PGA just recently issued a statement saying they are not going to give out releases to players looking to compete in the inaugural event in London next month. PGA previously has given players releases to play in international competitions or other tournaments outside of the PGA Tour, but they're not doing it for this one. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Greg Norman and the PGA aren't getting along. And he's the president or CEO of this, or I don't know what to call him. I don't know what his actual title is, but he's the head of LIV Golf. And he's not getting along with the PGA. They're not playing nicely together. And he's blaming the PGA and telling you that it's they're being anti-competition. They're not golfer friendly. They're not letting their players go try and get more money. Which they're not. I mean, let's be honest. That's true. All of that is true. The PGA is trying to hold their members into their own thing and play in their own events. And I get it because you feel like you're going to lose money if you let them go and play in something else where it's worth more money. But it's only 8 tournaments a year. It's not like it's 52 tournaments. It's not going to have any effect. And they're not going up against like the Masters or any of the majors. And by the way, the Masters is a private event too. The Masters is not a PGA Tour event.
Right.
So the Masters is an invitational. It can invite whoever it wants. And the PGA releases their players to go play in the Masters every year. It's okay. So because they're in bed together, the Masters and the PGA. So they make a lot of money off the Masters golf tournament. So anyway, it's just weird the way they're not letting them do it. So it'll be interesting to see. There players, Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia, and Phil have all filed for a release from the PGA Tour to let him go play in this tournament, and they've denied them all. And if you heard Sergio not last week, but the week before, and whatever his tournament was, when they penalized him because he didn't find his ball in time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was upset.
And he's like, I can't wait to leave this tour. I don't know. I'm hoping that I like the idea of the competition. I like the idea of it being open. Now, am I thrilled about the fact that it's, they have anything to do with Saudi money or the Saudi government or their human rights violations or any of that kind of stuff? No. But if you don't think that there's some of that money somewhere in the PGA Tour, you're wrong.
Absolutely, that's a great point right there.
Yeah,
it's still here. You just don't know about it.
You just don't see it, and they're not publicizing. The PGA Tour is not going to publicize it, but it's here. You've got that money in the PGA Tour somewhere. Somebody somewhere, even advertisers or who knows. But there's money hidden in there that has come from illegal sources of one kind or another, or human rights violators of one form or another. Just saying, it's in there. So the fact that they're trying to be all holy now is different. They're trying to make it sound like, oh, this is terrible. You can't go play for them because it's awful. I don't know.
These people are awful people.
These people are awful.
Be careful.
Yeah. We don't want you to go in there, number one, because you might make more money than you do here in one event. But, okay. Anyway, so there's that. Just saying.
It just seems a little suspicious.
It does seem a little suspicious, and it's interesting. So here's the other thing. So they're talking about each regular season event will have a prize purse of $25 million. Right? Right. $20 million.
Couple bucks.
Yeah, $20 million for individuals where everyone receives a cut, like $4 million to first place, right? And $120,000 for the 48th place. If you finish 48th on this tour, you finish dead last in every event, and there's 8 events, by the way, you'll make about $1 million.
Dang.
Right. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. And then following the first 7 events, an individual champion will be crowned, offering a total purse of $30 million. The top 3 individuals of the season, 18, 8, and $4 million. So if you win, let's say you win, there's 4 events. Let's say you win 2 of them. You have a pretty good shot at being the overall champion at the end of the year. And you will have won $4 million for those 2 wins. That's $8 million. And then if you win the whole thing, you get 18. That's $26 million worth of winnings just from playing 8 events. Plus whatever you finished in the other 6 events there are 5 events where you didn't finish first.
Okay, sign me up.
There's a lot of money. And then you're going to be on a team. Hold on. You're going to be on a team with 3 other players, right? The season-ending team championship. And if you're the individual winner and you're on the winning team, right, the first place team gets $16 million. So you're going to get another $4 million.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of...
Dang.
Yeah. There's a
lot of money.
There's a lot of money to be won. So I could see why players would be intrigued about going and playing in this. I mean, I get it. That's way more than you're going to win at the Byron Nelson Classic this week. So
the Byron Nelson Classic.
What? It is. I think that's where they are this week. I don't know if that's true or not. I made it. That's not a made up tournament. That's a real tournament, but I'm not sure that's where they're playing this week. So
okay. It sounded made up. That's why I was laughing.
No, it's the AT&T Byron Nelson Classic. It's in Texas somewhere. I'm not sure if that's where they just did it or what, but they might have just played that. No, it is this. It is. It's this week. They're literally playing the final today.
Wow.
See?
Good call.
See how right on I was.
Good call.
There you go. Anyway, so there's that. It sounds interesting. We're gonna watch it and see what happens. It's supposed to start in June. I don't know what 48 players are gonna get. If the PGA Tour is not going to release them, will some guys go anyway and go play? Because the PGA can't tell you can't play. They can just kick you out as a member of the PGA Tour, right?
That's harsh.
Okay, so here's my question. Would they tell Tiger no?
Ooh.
If Tiger says, I'm going to go play in this, will they tell Tiger, no, you can't come back and play in the Masters now, or you can't come back and play in any of our tournaments?
I guess the better question is, would Tiger
do it?
Would Tiger do it? Yeah. Would Tiger threaten him?
He probably, Tiger's autonomous at this point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He can do whatever he wants. So,
yeah.
But I mean, there are other players that could possibly do that. I don't know if they will, but it just seems to me like you could just say, I'm going to go play in this tournament. What are you going to do about it? You're going to kick me off the PGA Tour? Okay. Well, I'll make more money over here in just 8 events and I'll have the rest of the year off. Woohoo.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to travel to, 40 different golf tournaments a year. So, and they're not required to play in all those tournaments anyway. That's the weird part. Like, no one is required to go play in the AT&T Byron Nelson Classic. It is not mandatory that you go show up in that tournament.
But why wouldn't you want to?
Well, I mean, yeah, shoot.
The AT&T Byron Nelson Classic. That's a historically significant event.
Well, the purse is $9 million.
Yeesh, that's high.
But they break it down a lot more so that, I mean, there's an example. There's is it finished? Is it over? Did we finish it? Yeah, so it's over with. So the winner got 1.63 million, but the last place finisher that made a cut was 83rd. Right? And they got $16,198.
It's not bad for a couple afternoons.
No, yeah, well, yeah, for 4 afternoons worth of golf, I think that's pretty good. Considering I don't think you have to pay greens fees.
Well, how did the worst person finish? Like, what was their score?
That finished the tournament that made the cut? Oh, the ones that did get cut?
Yeah, did get cut. +5.
So, let's see. I'm looking at
Meissner.
I'm looking at a 149 here, which is it's only what, 4 over, 5 over.
Yeah,
72. It's par 72.
So you're saying that guy made 16K?
No.
The last guy who made the cut.
The last guy who made the cut.
Do the guys who get cut make anything?
No, if you get cut, you don't make anything. You have to make the cut to get money.
Dang.
But these guys finished at -4 for 4 rounds. I still feel like if I did that, I'd be the world's happiest golfer.
World's happiest golfer in 60th place.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't care. You can pay me $16,000. Yeah, I'll do it. But this tournament is one of those where they get way under par because the leader was -26.
Jeez.
So, yeah, if you shoot rounds of 64, 68, 67, 63 to win. Anyway, but still, that's $1.6 million. But there's so many golfers on tour that not everyone's winning that. You know what I mean? You might do that this week, but then next week you finish 20th, which is still not bad. I'm just saying you're going to get about $116,000 for finish 20th. But
God,
I know you can make a lot of money on it. You're in the wrong sport. You need to be a PGA Tour golfer because they make a crap ton of money.
I'm working on it. Have I told you what's happened to my swing since I got hurt?
No. What happened to your swing?
It is awesome. All of a sudden, because I can't move my left leg, I'm not like turning it. Right. I am just nailing stuff down the center. It's not going as far as it did, but it is dead center every time.
Nice.
Yeah. I went with AJ to the driving range a couple different times, and every time, every club, dead center, awesome.
That's going to help a lot.
Yeah. I feel like it's looking like how we talk about like the old ladies who come out there and golf.
Oh, yeah.
Don't hit it very far, but it's just always straight down the middle.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I'm going.
It's really annoying to watch them play golf. Because
they walk out of there with par on the day.
Because it's just straight down the middle. Most of the time they're just chitty-chatting and they just whack the ball, go straight down the middle. The next one, straight down the middle. You're like, how on earth do you do that? I mean, I can't. Even when I swing a short club, I still can't do that every time.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. So here's a quote from Leela Westwood, by the way, about this on the Super League, quote unquote. Golf is not the first sport to have links with Saudi Arabia, but it seems to be coming under more scrutiny than anyone else. Whether you think that's right or not is the individual's opinion. He's one of those guys that asked for a release, so just to go play, but just FYI. Anyway, there's that.
That's fair.
It is true. I mean, he's right. All right, let's talk about the trivia question.
So I already knew the answer. I got it right.
The best Slam Sports Show trivia question brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Where was I at? Oh, yeah, the winery. Go see him. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, and the downtown tasting room at 210 Oak Street. You can call them 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750 for more information or a reservation. You can email them info@staveandstone.com for more information also. That's Stave & Stone, winner of the 2021 Best Local Winery in the Best of the Gorge Awards. So the question was, Rich Strike had just won the Kentucky Derby last week by 3/4 of a length. What's the largest margin of victory in the Kentucky Derby history? Go ahead and tell him.
8.
It is 8. 8 lengths is correct. 4 times this has happened. So Old Rosebud in 1914.
I don't know why that name was so Old Rosebud.
Old Rosebud. Johnstown in 1939. Whirlaway in 1941. And Assault in 1946. Whirlaway and Assault both went on to Triple Crown to win the Triple Crown. But anyway, 8 lengths. It's happened 4 times, and I kind of felt like it would be longer than that, like a bigger, like somebody would just like crush the field and ran away.
8 lengths is a lot, right?
It is a lot. I mean, 8 lengths, eight horse lengths is a lot of horse. I mean, it's a lot of.
It's nothing to whip at.
No, but it just I don't know. I felt like there was like going to be a 20 length winner or something. Somebody just went boom, and he was gone. But that hasn't happened. So
anyway, not so much.
Interesting. So there's horse racing nugget for the day. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, not today. What's it called? It's been pretty easy going, so nothing grinding my gears lately.
Nothing happened? Okay.
Yeah, nothing significant.
Okay, so that's fair. So let's start with this. Is this playing? This didn't play. Is this gonna play? That's not gonna. You know why? Because that's the wrong button.
There you go.
We'll go with the funky music. Oh yeah. Is that too loud? You think?
Nah, that sounds
great. Okay. So that's all we have for today. We're gonna be back next week with NBA is gonna be in the conference finals. It's gonna be exciting. NHL is moving on to round 2. MLS soccer, more ties for you to talk about. USFL update, of course, which, every game's a home game for Birmingham. The WNBA, we'll talk about the standings and more stuff right there. We're also talking about, you know what? One thing I didn't mention before we go, Cincinnati, who's struggling this year, Cincinnati Reds, in Major League Baseball, they're struggling this year. They're just bad. But today they hit a different low. Today their pitcher, starting pitcher, threw 7 1/3 innings of no-hit baseball.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Left the game in the 8th, right? Reliever came in with 2 runners on base, and he walked. Reliever comes in with 2 runners on base. After a couple of groundouts, a run scored. Pittsburgh scored a run on fielder's choice.
I saw this.
Pittsburgh scored a run on a fielder's choice. No hits, but they got a run, and they won 1-0. They beat Cincinnati 1-0, despite the fact that the starting pitcher, and the reliever combined for an 8-inning no-hit. So, just when you think it can't get worse, it does.
It's kind of impressive.
I mean, it is. But this is not super uncommon, but the last time was 2008. So, just saying. I mean, I don't know how bad is the season going when you can throw a no-hitter and lose. So, that's pretty bad. Anyway, just want to So, what did I say? Oh yeah, we're on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. You can see us on Facebook, the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us lambsports@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the webpage. The webpage address is right there on the screen. lambsports.com. It's real easy. Go there. The trivia questions on there. Past shows you can go about. I think 20 something shows back. I think it holds like 25 different shows. So. And you know what? If you're looking for a show and you want to listen to it, you want to hear it, and it's something that isn't right on there, YouTube has most of our shows on there, on our page, the Best Lamb Sports Show page. But if you need something, let me know. I can get you a copy of that. You know what I mean?
I can get you a copy of that.
I know a guy. So if you just want to hear an old episode or something, I got it. Anyway, so that's all we have. I want to thank... did it stop? Did my music stop?
Yeah, it stopped.
Wow. Okay.
Made it out a hot second ago.
I thought it had more music.
Nice.
I thought it was longer, like it was on a loop or something. Anyway, that's all we have. We want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC, CBS Sports, the NFL. We didn't even talk about NFL today.
Nah, we'll talk about it sometime.
We will. NFL's coming because you know what? We're going to talk about ticket prices next episode. Now that the NFL schedule, we'll talk about the NFL schedule. I want to thank the NCAA, NHL, the NBA, MLS, Formula One, and of course our sponsors, the Range in Yakima, Los Yards, and Stuyvesant Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a production. I guess I could say it's been a production. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of one. Let's see. I want to thank you all for listening.